Black who's going to go for it. Black for the 1 point to win the grand final for Halifax, and he's done it. Ben Black strikes.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Talking the Facts of Life. You are your regular rugby league podcast with just a hint of Halifax Panthers. Yes. My name's Mike Haig. Thank you very much for joining us. And as always, joined by tech aficionado, producer, Panthers hat model, Mr. Rick Farrell. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm still getting over the live stream last week and the champagne from that, and the introduction of our new sponsors, Delivery. Joining our wonderful original sponsors, Eclipse Energy. Well, I can't even speak.
Energy.
Again, if we are sponsored by two local firms, both fans of the club. If you need a warm home while eating wonderfully local food delivered to you for 99p before until New Year, so get on there. They will both see you right. We've got an action-packed show this week, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, it's been a weekish, 10 days since the rebrand, and it's been amazing. I didn't expect it to be this positively received. It's been fantastic. Like, I put out a post on the Facebook group, on the new Halifax Panthers fans Facebook group, and I can't believe it's so good. Me and you said last week, didn't we, that it's fantastic what they're doing, and we're fully behind it. But I didn't expect. I can think of one or two possibly who got negative, who were completely against it. Another couple kind of share my views about kind of maintaining a crest on the shirt or anything like that, but I can understand why they're not. But overwhelming majority are well behind it, and I'm so chuffed that they are, because it's a complete breath of fresh air. It's got us back on the map. It's got everyone talking, national headlines. It's won the Sky poll for best rebrand so far. It's all positive. The only way is up, baby.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, could we have ever imagined how good the response were going to be? I think any marketing team that starts something like that, to have a response so positive, it's textbook stuff, isn't it, really? So absolutely delighted with how it's been taken. Yeah, I understand that some people might not like it. I think we've seen in the club's videos that, a lot of people might not like it, but they're going to warm to it. And as other people said in the club videos, it's probably the best thing to happen at this club in 50 years. So, first week done. Another 51 to go towards the Super League dream, eh?
Yeah, and this week we've seen the merchandise being sold at the shop. Queues outside the store. Yeah, there's a very, very, very good model there with a beanie out there. But the kit, the kit looks absolutely amazing. It looks just the job. It looks like it's quality gear. But I can't remember excitement about the start of a pre-season, but B, in terms of merchandise being shown. And like I've said to you before, I can't remember the last time that we had new gear come out before Christmas. It's just, it makes normal business sense to do your new stuff and big stuff before Christmas, but obviously that happened the last few years. But it was such a, again, I use the word refreshing. So refreshing to see young, old, in between, queuing up for the store. And there's stories of people spending nearly 500 quid at the store, which is just absolutely massive. And
wish I had it myself.
Yeah,
the gear is absolutely spot on,
Yeah,
if I had 500 quid, I'd look a lot better than I do now, anyway. So,
it's by all accounts, we've got a much better deal with Elgren, and they're coming up trumps with the quality of stuff that they're doing. We've got an embroidered badge on the shirt, which is always a plus point in my eyes. But it looks great. It looks quality. It just looks amazing on the players. We saw the players in the full kit, and it looks absolutely brilliant. It's just really, really exciting, and there's more to come. Now, obviously, it's very much winter orientated because it's bloody freezing outside and raining. And that. Who would have thought in winter they're going to bring out a massive raincoat and a winter coat there? But hopefully, when sun's shining, we're at the summer bash or whatever, they do some shorts. I might get some Halifax shorts and and some vest. Might not get a vest. That'd be done for indecent exposure. That one. But yeah, it's just very, very encouraging, and long may it continue. As I say, there's a big. They've run out of stock. They've reordered stock. It's a new dawn. It's new. It's exciting. It's brilliant. And kind of touching back to what I said before in terms of the overwhelmingly positive reactions. I think after letting it kind of settle down and rest for a week and re-watching the press conference and stuff, like what Dave Grayson, Richard Durgan, Lawrence Turner, even what like Grixie and Greg Worthington was saying, and obviously Lee Kenny as well, I think they've got it absolutely spot on in terms of why they've done it, how they've done it, what they want to achieve from it, and the really important bit, and I think this is the reason why it's been so positively received by people who you would not necessarily have thought would have taken it so positively. They've done it for the right reason. They've explained, look, we're still Halifax. We're still going to play in blue and white shirts. Still going to play the share. Still going to have the team there. We're embracing the past, embracing the heritage, but we've got to move forward. We can't be standing still. We've got to embrace that. And yeah, it's just brilliant to see.
You're seeing everyone as well that's sort of traditionalist and the old sort of players, you know, that were legends of the club, Ben Black, backing it. And I just don't think we could have had a better first week, you know. Yeah, I can't wait. I just want to get going in next season now. Never mind the launch. I just want to get playing now.
Definitely, for sure. And yeah, in talking about the viral campaign, which was really, really good in terms of the big cat spottings, and it was trending on Twitter. Halifax big cat, and the Panthers are in town, and all that sort of stuff. It was brilliant to see, and even the people that were kind of skeptical for it, and even like the non-rugby league fans have kind of gone fair play, because it's done its job. The viral campaign went absolutely massive, and yeah, it's done its job. And you're absolutely right. I'm so excited to get going now. I can't wait to see them back on the field and playing again. And we've had no new signings just yet, but there could be some on the way. But we do have new players in terms of who will be playing next year, with the news that Newcastle Thunder have gained promotion, if you want to call it that, but gained entry to Championship from League One. It's all a big mess what's going on anyway, but long and short of it is that Newcastle Thunder will be playing in the Championship next year. Great choice, I think. It's a good choice. They've been steadily building for years. It's another kind of expansion team, if you will, and they've got a good thing going up there, and it's another new ground to tick off the list. I'm looking forward to going up there, maybe for a weekend.
Absolutely. I think it's a bit, though, the teams around them will be a bit aggrieved, because I don't think maybe Newcastle earned it on the pitch. But as
I don't know. They lost the grand final last year. They got beat by Oldham. So
let's put them up then.
Well, that's one of the arguments that's going for Championship. It's if they'd have won last in the grand final last year, they'd have been up anyway. So it's one of those. There's no kind of perfect scenario for it.
I think they were the perfect scenario for the Championship, though. You know, a lot of people see them as sort of a week away, and not only that, but they've been building up, and they've got, you know, financial backers behind them. They've got a youth team up there. The fans are great. The stadium's great. You know, there isn't many downsides to Newcastle being a Championship side. So I'm 100% behind the decision to do it. Would other sides that maybe had, you know, better shouts on the field be agreed? Yeah. but we'll see that from the Super League application process that comes through.
Yes.
Obviously, this podcast might go out before then. We don't know, but
it
as
should
you all
do.
might know,
It's Monday the 14th, is it?
Monday the next.
Yeah. Yes, Monday the 14th, I think it is. But yeah, I think where the other teams kind of fell down is that they have kind of been yo-yo teams. Have been up and down and that sort of thing, and it's a sticky subject to get into because they are kind of part of the rugby league heartland, so to speak. The likes of Workington and other teams of that ilk and Doncaster, where they are in rugby league hotbeds, really. But you're right with Newcastle. If they're not, it's the perfect time for them to go up because the world's changing. It's a new year that's going into that, and they've been steadily building. If they hadn't gone up now, then it would have been got to the stage where what's the point in trying again? They've got to be able to progress. And yeah, I'm chuffed they've gone up. Hopefully, it does work out for him. It turns out to be the right choice, but all the time will tell. But it's a good addition in my eyes there. Super League. Well, let's talk about.
No, I'm going to say, obviously, if that's the championship criteria, Newcastle gone up because of X, Y, Z. Do you think that'll have much bearing on the Super League decision?
Well, they've made it very, very clear that it's completely different criteria from Championship.
Have they made the criteria clear, though? Because I've not seen any.
I don't think they have. They've said it's different, but I don't think they've been as transparent, as the Super League one. And it's such a contentious view, really.
I'll be happy when it's done, to be honest with you. So can all.
I think everyone will be. Everyone will be.
Anyway, to be honest, if you're a championship club, the most exciting thing happening recently is the fixture announcement. Once your fixtures are out,
yeah, you can start playing. I think Grixie kind of said he wants to know what's going on now. They want the fixture to be announced and kind of know what's going on. And yeah, and the team going up to Super League. Everyone it's just the last piece of the jigsaw, and it's in some ways it's daft that it's been dragged so long that they've had to, and it's been drawn out and publicised and stuff. But it builds excitement, doesn't it? The fact that we've hand delivered our.
Well, I've seen from the groups is frustration. So. But nailing you down to a club today. So on the spot, Mike, who do you pick?
Who do I want, or who do I think?
Who do you pick? So Mike is the leader of the Super League Europe RFL coalition.
If I was doing a completely independent, objective view, I would pick Toulouse. I would pick Toulouse without a moment's breath. Lee would just miss out, in my opinion. They're a little bit too boom and bust. But yeah, that's my point of view. You look at the way that the criteria is being written, it allows the likes of Bradford to go up. That's what I think. If I was a betting man, if I was going to put a shiny £1 coin on a team to go, I think it will be Bradford, but I hope not. And that is not just me as a Halifax fan thinking that. I can't see in any, apart from the fan base, which we all know Bradford have got loads of fans. Apart from the fan base, I cannot think of a single reason why they should be promoted up to Super League, because you look at it from any which way possible. On the pitch, they've not performed. Off the pitch, they've not performed. They've gone bust 3 times in 5 years or whatever it was. Yeah. It's just not viable in my eyes. You could argue with Lee. Lee have gone saying they've gone bust in that, but they've performed on the pitch. They've been really, really strong. London as well. London, I think, London only a close seconds for me, because London, you said before on the podcast, right, they were really unlucky to get relegated. Full stop. They got the relegated on points.
Most points by a relegated side ever.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really, really unlucky to on the pitch. In terms of squad, Lee's squad is ridiculous. I said it last week. If Lee go up, they will stay up with the squad that they've got. If they stay down,
shout.
I'll put my shiny pound coin on that. If Lee go up, they will stay up because their squad is farcical. How good that squad is in terms of the budget that they must have and salary cap kind of thing. They've built a really, really good squad there. If they stay down, they'll walk the championship. Don't get me wrong, I'm loving our squad, and I think we've done a really, really good job. But Lee's play, and they're full time as well, so that makes a huge difference there. To lose, same argument as Newcastle. They've built up for a steady amount of years. They've been there and thereabouts for the last 5 years, however long they've been up in the championship, really, and they could have been there, but for a dodgy non-video ref decision when Mason Caton-Brown grounded the ball for Toronto. I subjectively, I'd say Toulouse, but it's anyone's. I think if, and again, just to say it completely independently, if Toulouse, Lee, and London got accepted, I think the majority of rugby league fans would go, fair enough. Fair dues.
Yeah.
If York did, they might raise a few eyebrows, but think they're going in the right direction. It's somewhere new. They're not being in Super League. They've got a nice, shiny new stadium. They've got a young British coach. It's in an untapped area with lots of potential
on
there.
The rise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bradford, I just don't see it. And the big argument I've seen for Bradford, and the reason they say they've got such great heritage, they've won the Super League loads. So what? We won the cup in 1987. That should mean we should win the cup every year. It's an argument that doesn't work in my eyes. And you could get really pedantic and say the club as it is now has never won the Super League. It's never been in Super League because it's a new club. So it's there and there. I don't know if any Bradford fans watch this. If you do, please speak up. I'd love to hear from you, but I'm not being the bitter Halifax fan, the small town Halifax fan. I believe it or not, I can be impartial. I can be objective about these things, or subjective, whichever one bloody is. It's late. It's late, although I'm sober this week. I'm not saying I'm speaking as a rugby league fan. And the fact that we've mentioned this podcast before, 2021 is the most important year in rugby league history in my eyes. And if they get this wrong, it will just undo a lot of good work that's going on. And I just believe that Bradford going up is wrong. They're not even playing the ground. They're not playing Odsal. They don't have their own ground. It's just baffling how they're even being considered for it. And if it's going back to the licensing days of admitting a team in Super League because of stuff that doesn't necessarily really matter about online content and away fans bringing in, it'd be a massive step backwards. And that's
I agree 100%. I'm with you on the Toulouse thing. I think you mentioned with 2021 being the most pivotal year in rugby league in terms of sort of like the TV deal, and as everyone knows, any fan of rugby league actually knows, they might not admit it to themselves, but Sky run rugby league, and this is the chance they've been wanting to get the French derby for the Sky numbers to try and test the waters in the south of France sort of TV market. This is the time to do it. It's not the time to go heritage and try and do any of that sort of stuff. Do I think they'll do it? Maybe not. I believe that short-term gains has always been over long-term benefits in rugby league. Personally, I think you're sort of on the right track. I think if it's not Bradford, it'll be Lee. If it's not either of those two, I couldn't pick one. But my choice would be Toulouse 100%, just because of the Catalan TV derby. Yeah. And just to even test the water, because if you don't try, you'll never know. I think Coldplay sang that years ago. It was coming out with the Coldplay. This is why you watch this podcast, for Coldplay references. But Yeah.
I would never thought you'd have thrown a Coldplay reference out there.
But, you know, there's nothing else you can say. It's got to be them for me, and if it's not, then, well, does it affect us? No. Do I care? Partially. Up the Panthers. That's all I ever say.
Yeah, but it's a weird situation. Look, because we fell down on the crowds really, and we had just as good a shout in terms of on the field performance and stuff as the other teams really.
Yeah.
But hey ho, that got taken out of our hands. Personally speaking, I might have said it last week. I think it's a blessing in disguise really, because we can focus on being the best team that we can.
But it's pretty obvious we're not ready for it.
No, we're not, and like we said before when we did podcasts before, and when they announced that we were applying, I think we all knew that we're never going to get in, but we've got to show that ambition to do it. And now that it's been and gone, we applied for Super League when we were Halifax RLFC. Now we're Halifax Panthers. We're going full steam ahead towards hopefully a bigger, brighter future, and being the leading lights in the championship, so that if push came to shove again and something does happen like this again, then we are one of the leading contenders for it in that respect. We can only do what we can do, focus on ourselves, and the rest will follow. And that's kind of been the theme from last week for the rebrand and that sort of thing there. And we've got to go and do it. We will touch on the past now, because it's been announced this week that Richard Marshall has finally got his much-deserved Super League gig, and what an appointment it is for him and Salford. Worst kept secret in rugby league, Ian Watson announced as Huddersfield coach. Sad to see him go from Salford, because I think he was building something really good there. But Richard Marshall's by this time, and by God, in 18 months, he's gone from being sacked by Halifax, going to Saints, winning the grand final with two different coaches were there, and then he's got a plum job in Salford. It's a perfect fit for him, absolute perfect fit for him, and I'm so chuffed that he's got that. I'm chuffed all around, because Salford could have gone for the safe and conservative option of going for a Tim Sheens or another Aussie name, Aussie coach, or another old coach off the coaching merry-go-round.
Yeah.
And no one would have given him any stick for it, because with Watson going, he's such a big name to replace him. But they've gone for Richard Marshall, and he's a young British coach who's cut his teeth. He served his apprenticeship, if you will, by being Halifax, but also as being a really good number two at Saints. And now he's got his head coach gig, and I'm so chuffed for him. And I'm a Salford fan now in Super League.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think most people watching know it. He didn't do much wrong at Fax, too much wrong. You know,
No.
A case of sort of like the circumstances of his wage and our situation sort of colliding. I think 90% of people would have kept him had the finances allowed on both sides and all that sort of thing. But you mentioned like he's gone to Salford to replace a big name there. The thing about Ian Watson, he wasn't a big name when he sort of signed on to be Salford coach. I think that sort of suits their ethos of bringing someone in who's hungry. And I think another thing that people forget is that Marshy was actually like the England Academy coach before he joined us. Those players have now graduated, become Super League players, so he has that connection. Will he be able to get the same sort of recruitment that Ian Watson had at Salford? Maybe not, but he's got something to sell, and everyone knows. I mean, as we'll see in the next part of the show, he's been mooted as a very good sort of man manager and that sort of stuff. So I'm really happy for him. You know, it's anytime anyone who's been involved with our club does well, everyone likes to see him do well, and I hope they win Super League over everyone else. Absolutely.
For sure, yeah, and he's already come up with some good signings in Joe Burgess from Wigan. I think that's a great signing there. But there should be more to come.
Sargentson, probably the biggest one.
Oh yeah, Sarge, yeah, for sure. I believe that they're keeping Christian Inu as well.
Yeah.
So those are really, really good there. But I just think that if he does the same kind of job that he did at Halifax, getting the best out of the players that he's got there and bringing in some players there, he'll do a really, really good job. And I think Salford fans will give him time as well, because I think when I've looked at the opinions of rugby league fans, both Salford and Neutral, I think that because he's not a big name, because he is replacing Watson and stuff like that, because he's got a tough act to follow, not because of the job that Watson did in terms of with the players and that, but the fact that they've got to a grand final and cup final in the last 12 months. He's got a tough act to follow. I don't think, and people were saying that, they won't give him a chance if they don't get to grand final or cup final like next year and that. Yeah. I don't think that'll be the case. I think they realised that Salford is a anomaly,
isn't it? Watson was a bit of an anomaly.
Yeah. No one expected Salford to get to A, the grand final last year, and B, the cup final this year. And that's no disrespect to Salford or Watson in that. It was just, you just don't think that they're going to do that in terms of the squad that they had and the competition that they faced.
Yeah.
I think most rugby league fans now know, and I think Salford fans especially know, that it is a project that's going at Salford. They're one of the clubs that have rebranded. They've changed the badge, the logo, and they're starting to bear the fruits of a really, really good academy system as well as Salford. And you mentioned Richard Marshall being the England academy coach, and we saw the youngsters that he brought through at Fax with the likes of Salty and Brandon Moore and Elliot Morris and Chester Butler and those sort of players. It's a really, really good fit for him, and I think he will. I think he signed a 3-year contract. I think he'll get those 3 years, no problem. Even if Salford don't necessarily finish well or have a successful season next year, I don't think they'll be calling for him for the sack, because he's too good a coach. And I think they realise that he's not just some person they've plucked out of thin air. He's done his bit, and he knows both rugby league and Super League inside out. And yeah, I'm so chuffed that he's got it. He so deserves it, really.
I'm saying the same as Muzz's new team. I hope we get him in cup, and I hope we stuff him.
How good would that be if we, in cup, we get Keighley first and we beat them, obviously. Oh. Yeah, obviously. There.
Sorry, Josh.
And then we get Salford. Yeah, sorry, choppers. And then we get Salford in next round. How good would that? That'd be amazing.
Beat them, and then, beat Leeds. Who else were we beating? Wigan.
And then they were with the
Roosters.
Yeah, and then we'll win the cup, and then we can say that we've got heritage and that sort of thing, and then Sonny Bill Williams will sign for us. And
not a bad first year.
All will be good. All will be good. Penrith will want us on dual reg and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's exciting times all round. And as I say, I would repeat myself. I'm chuffed that he's got that opportunity, because there's not that many clubs that are looking for young British coaches and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Like, as I say, Hull have gone down the Brett Hodgson route. They've gone down under with that. Saints obviously have been going down the route of going down under. They had Justin Albrook, then Christian Wolf and that sort of thing. And hopefully, because these like Holbrook and Wolf had young British coaches underneath them. So they had the likes of Welland, Sean Long, obviously Richard Marshall. Sean Long's gone to Leeds to go under Richard Agar, another English coach who's done so well this year. As I said before in previous podcasts, he deserves that cup final win. I'm trying to think of other coaches that in Super League, really. You've got Ian Watson at Huddersfield there. They could be different. Like you could
Chris Jester, Wakefield.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm struggling to think on the hoof here, but yeah.
Don't strain yourself, Mike.
But yeah, it's whenever a young British coach is appointed, it's always a good thing, because for far too long it's always been the knee-jerk reaction for a club to think, right, who's in Australia, who's free in Australia? And you look at the Leeds model, actually, to go back to Leeds. Leeds, when Brian McDermott got sacked or left or whatever, they went and got David Ferner. Brilliant player in his day. Cut his coaching teeth in the NRL, was a really good assistant coach. Came over here and it didn't work. Didn't work at all. And then Richard Agar reluctantly took over. Didn't necessarily want the job. He was on the coaching staff. But then look at the job he's done. He's revitalised that team and they obviously won the cup. So it just seems really, really weird to have Australians. Because then NRL and Super League, completely different games. You look at the end, they're two different. And why should we get Australian coaches coming over here and trying to coach a game which doesn't exist really? It's like if Ian Watson went over to NRL. He might not necessarily get the success.
It's kind of easier to say now because obviously the NRL, we might talk more about this in later shows, but the NRL are obviously talking about buying a stake in Super League, so they'll have more say in things. So all this that we're saying now might be moot in 6 weeks' time when we have our new Aussie overlords.
I, for one, Australian overlords in my best Ken Brockman impression.
Speaking of Australians,
go on.
We have one coming up.
Yes, we do. We have a very, very special guest in. He runs like a train. Mitch Cahalane on the second part of the podcast. Just before that, it would be remiss of me not to mention. Mitch Cahalane was one of our heroes when he played for Halifax. Another hero, not just of rugby league, but of society at the moment, is Kevin Sinfield. And the 7 for 7 that he's done for Rob Burrow, what, $2.5 million now, I believe.
Unbelievable, mate. Absolutely unbelievable.
It's incredible.
You see, the thing that stood out to me about is when, because I don't know if anyone's ever met Kev, but he's just that kind of guy. There's no bullshit. Bleep it out, future Rick podcast runner. But he's he's saying, even though he was the captain of the team back then, and they were his teammates, he still feels the same 10 years after they've retired. And to be able to do something like that for a mate like that would just not only make Rob feel fantastic, but make Kev feel great as well. So he's the epitome of everything that you want a rugby league player to be. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I've made no secret of the fact I'm a massive Kevin Sinfield fan on these podcasts before. I think he's one of the most underrated players in Super League history, which seems a daft thing to say given what he's won and that. But I just think he's undervalued. I think I think he'll go down as one of the all-time greats. And I've said that before. If you go back onto our international podcast that we did, look at there. And I'm not just saying it because of what he's done this week, but first of all, to say I'm going to run 7 marathons in 7 days is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
You don't get athletes doing that.
For us fat lads, it is for sure.
But even like professional athletes, even marathon runners don't run 7 marathons in 7 days. For a chap who's 40 or just turned 40, around about that, who's been retired from the sport for 5 years, to say that he's even bonkers there. To do it around Saddleworth, one of the hilliest parts of the country, is bonkers again. To do it in December when it's so cold and wet and rainy is just unbelievable. And to say that the target was to raise £77,777, and by the time that he finished, it was $1.5 million.
Oh, unbelievable!
It's just absolutely amazing, and it's just another good news story for rugby league, and it just shows that we're all in it together. And it's motor neuron disease from what's happened in the last few years with Doddy Weird and Stephen Darby, and then obviously Rob Burrow in terms of close to home. It's an awful, awful disease, and there's no cure, and the treatment's there. And with the documentaries that have been on and all the news pieces and that, it's just shown a really good human light on the situation. And hopefully that money does go a long, long way, and long may it continue, because it's just amazing. As I say, there's not enough superlatives to describe the effort that's been put in, not least by Kevin Sinfield and his team, but also by the people who've done it. And I've put some money in as well, and it's just absolutely brilliant. And hopefully,
Give a shout out to Ollie Holmes as well, the cast forward he's done.
Yeah, I feel a little bit sorry for him because he's going to look completely under the radar.
I don't think he was winning one job. I don't think he ever thought it would about him. So
no, not at all.
That's rugby league players all over, selfless.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I just thought we need to mention that, and yeah, he finishes the first part on a good human note. And speaking of good humans, after the break, we've got Mitch Cahalane, who will let us know about his time with the Facts. 2017 in Toulouse and all that, and other stuff there as well. So stay with us. We'll be back right after this. Hello, welcome to the second part of Talking the Facts of Live, sponsored by Eclipse Energy.
Eclipse Energy!
And delivery. All these. Thank you very much for joining us, as always, everyone. And as you can see now, we're joined by a very, very special guest. He runs like a train. Make everyone welcome for Mitch Cahalane. Thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers, mate.
In the boiling hot down under, you can see the sun shining behind you, just rubbing it in. We're in winter and you're in summer. How's it going, buddy, anyway?
Yeah, good, mate, good.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate you getting up early in the morning or weird time zone and that. You've got up nice and early to join us here, but it's very much appreciated. I'm sure everyone listening and watching will appreciate it as well, because you were a fan's favourite. There's no doubt about it. You came as a double act with Tangata, but you yourself were
triple act, but we don't talk about the third one.
Do you know what? I completely forgot about that.
Exactly.
I completely forgot about that. But yeah, but what I was going to say, did you feel the love from the fans kind of straight away, or was it kind of a slow burn one? How did it feel?
No, when we signed, we sort of inundated by messages and stuff on Facebook straight from the word go, and it's massive, especially coming from the other side of the world, from Australia. And you don't know what you're in for, what you're up against. You don't want to. I've had mates in the past that have sort of gone overseas in different areas of sport, and they've sort of caught the bad time for taking other people's positions and stuff like that. But the fans are great there, and they welcome us with open arms. And yeah, we sort of, as soon as we got there, they hit the ground running, and they sort of just, it was very overwhelming, put it that way.
Yeah. What made you join Halifax in the first place? Because we're not as big a club as we used to be back in the day, but obviously you had an opportunity to come up to the Northern Hemisphere. Was Halifax the only kind of club that had your interest, or were there other options there?
No, I've sort of always, when I was coming through the Panthers system, I always had because my mum was born over there, I could get a dual passport, so I got a British passport, and I always had the intentions to test myself and play overseas if I got the opportunity, and just happened to be, I just sort of mentioned to my agent at the time that I wouldn't mind going overseas, and he just put the feelers out there. And funny enough, you say that, not many people know, I got an offer from, it was either Workington or Whitehaven, and they were the first one. I was not inclined to take it, but then I just sort of got the phone call and said, there's a club looking for you working in Whitehaven. I sort of did a bit of research, and I was like, and then I heard some good things about Halifax through past players. Luke Brannigan played there. My brother ended up playing with him at Mounties before that, and I heard some good things about them. And after that, then Halifax was interested, so I sort of, wanted to go there more such, and just sort of fell into place, and and they were interested, and so was I. So we sort of ironed out a deal the best we could.
Good stuff. And you came over with Tangata, your teammate at the Mounties. How good was it? How much easier was it to have someone else to kind of come over with, and kind of not so you weren't just by yourself, so to speak?
Yeah, that was heaps easier. Like, if it was by myself, it still would have been tough. But coming with him, obviously, we were good mates when we played over here, and we knew each other real well. And it made it so much easier for both of us, because we were going to the unknown. We both sort of he's a bit different to mine. He lived away from home because obviously he was born in New Zealand and Cook Islands and whatnot, but I hadn't lived out away from home, so it made it a lot easier for him coming. And then even so, we got there and we had the house and Tyra was already in one of the rooms. So little did we know, we got along pretty well. So, yeah, it ended up pretty good in the long run.
So you got on with Tyra famously right from the get-go then?
Yeah, well, he was a massive help for us early on because, it's obviously a massive change for us. We're not used to bits and pieces going straight to a different other side of the world, and just little things in general like we never knew about. Like we had plenty of dramas with boilers and frigging things that we don't even know existed. So yeah, he helped us massively, and if it wasn't for him, we might have struggled a bit more, and he made it sort of a bit easier to settle in. So it was good.
Was it as massive a culture shock coming over to the UK? You came in December, didn't you? You came pretty much
worst possible
Christmas time
as well. Yeah.
So you've gone from the summer in Australia to bleak midwinter.
No cricket being played in December, Mitch.
Yeah, no, I remember it clearly. I remember the day we left because I was actually at the in-laws' place, the father and mother-in-law's place, and just as I was about to go to the airport, I think it was about 37 degrees, and I had a singlet on, and I was checking up the weather to see what the weather was like over there, and I remember getting off the plane and thinking, just people don't know, but don't get me wrong, it's not as easy as what you think. You get off the plane, I was freezing cold, it started snowing, sleeting, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, do I really want to do this? But it all worked out in the end, and I loved every minute of it. And you get used to it, so to speak. Even though I didn't get used to it, if that makes sense, you still get used to it.
Yeah.
After a while, you just plug on and just do your best you can with it, and just make the best of the opportunity.
What was the first experience of actually playing in cold weather like that? Because I'm assuming that growing up in the backyards of Sydney, you never got anywhere near to those. Even being tackled to the ground is horrendous. What's your first memory of being like where you like you say you question your life choices of being a rugby league prop forward?
Well, one of the I think it was our second game when I played for Halifax. Our first game we played whole KR in a trial over there. It was cold, but it wasn't as bad. Then the second game, if you remember, we played Huddersfield Giants at home, and leading up to it was been snowing pretty bad. And I remember saying to Ty, like, how do you go playing in the snow, etc.? We'll get called off one. And he's like, nah, probably not. And then I remember we trained I think a day before the game, and I remember speaking to the boys going, surely we won't be playing. And I remember they got heaps of fans and the ground staff. We played at our home ground and shoveled 3/4 of the field off with snow, and we got a game going on. And I remember they sent a pretty tough side out. They sent their full squad out at the time, Huddersfield. And, I remember playing, it was with snow on the field. I remember pinching myself going, like, it can't be real. Like, what are we doing here? And I remember getting tackled and you feel every little bit and couldn't feel my feet on my hand at half time. But yeah, you just got to go with it and just, try and put it out of your mind the best you can. Once you start playing, you're all right. It's just, half time and sitting on the bench, I suppose.
Did you ask Ned for some thermals then?
No. Well, there's actually a funny story. I think we played Lee Centurions. I think it was the second round of the comp that year. I remember the field, the Shea was atrocious. It was one of the worst conditions we've ever played in. Yeah. And I remember it was probably one of the coldest days because I remember even the Halifax boys, I remember Manu and Tyra and that saying it was one of the coldest they've ever played, so it must have been cold. At half time, we go to the sheds, and I remember Adzi was sitting next to me and he was like shaking. And I'm like, "You all right?" He's like, "He was so cold." So he literally got up at half time and went in the hot shower and put the hot shower on and stood in the shower for about 2 minutes with boiling hot water. And I just remember going, "Mate, you're going to be worse."
I thought Aussies was supposed to be tough, me.
Yeah, I didn't do that. That's why the cook on did it, mate. I didn't do that.
No, I remember that game well. I think I actually wore trousers that game, Rick. Not shorts. Bit of a running joke. I wear shorts. I should be in Australia. I just wear shorts anywhere, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I actually got Simbi in that game as well.
I was going to ask you about the Huddersfield game. What are your memories of Danny Brough that day?
Yeah, well, I remember that. Yeah, well, at the time, I remember going over there, and I was sort of raised over here with me old man, and I got an older brother. I was just like, the old man used to say, just be tough and don't let anyone put shit over or put it over you. And I remember playing, and they were giving it out, they were giving it out, dishing out Aussie this, Aussie that. I can't really repeat. And yeah, he ran and sort of cheap shot me early on after I passed one time. So I put that in the memory bank. And then I remember he ran once and he did pass and I flattened him. And I gave him a few words on the ground. He got up and we started coming to blows. And then I was all good with it. And he eye gouged me, the dirty bastard. So, we both got sin-binned and and then a couple of games later.
I'm fan favourite after that, personally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sticking up for your teammates is what was needed,
Yeah, that's it. You got to put your best foot forward and don't take a backward step. And if you got to have a bit of a melee, as they say now, you got to do it. That's what it is.
You got to get stuck in. Apart from the weather and the conditions, what were the main differences between Aussie Rugby League and British Rugby League when you came over? Is it that much of a different game, or what do you reckon?
Yeah, the difference is probably a lot more structured over here. So over here, it's a lot more sort of robotic, as you speak. It's a lot more. You've got to do this at this play. You've got to get to this point at this play, and it's a lot more structured. Over there, I enjoyed it because you sort of got free reign to pass inside your own 10-metre line and try and, that was the good thing about it. Like, varied conditions, obviously, but you got to free range from the coach to sort of throw it around, and it wasn't so, robotic. You could just do what you want when you wanted. So I enjoyed that aspect of it where you could throw around, and it's the same now where NRL's a lot more structured and play orientated, where Super League it's a bit more watchable and entertaining because they throw the ball around and score long range tries and 20 offloads to get a try. So it's a joy to watch and play.
It allowed you to express yourself a lot more because obviously the fans that are watching will know you. It was obviously a training ground with you and Adzi had this sort of short ball at the line worked out that seemed to come up trumps quite a few times at sort of pivotal moments. So you're saying that in the Australian game, something like that you work out in training, you might not have been able to actually put into practice?
Yeah, well, we did it a little bit prior. We both played each other prior for 2 seasons prior. So we sort of knew each other's game inside out. And we sort of, one of them things where you just click and we knew what each other was going to do at certain times. And, when we played together over there, we got rain off Rich and the other coaching staff. Is sort of, not many people don't think front rows can pass or, offload, late offload, stuff like that. So I remember training all the time. We used to practice and we used to say, if it's on, we knew each other was going to be there and we trusted each other to pass and catch at the line. And, we just let it go.
Well, you came over when... Oh, sorry, go on, Rick.
No, I'm saying it worked.
Oh, yeah, for sure, definitely. You came over when it was a bit of a transitional period after, Carl Harrison got sacked and then Richard Marshall just started over. From the outside looking in, it looked like 2015, we overachieved that year. What were the expectations at the start of the year and going forward? Did you think that you were going to make the middle eights, or was it just kind of, we take 1 week as it comes?
Yeah, well, regarding the Carl Harrison, we actually did what we're doing now. We had a Zoom meeting with me and Adam and our agent with Carl Harrison when we officially signed. We spoke to him and he was the coach at the time when we signed. So he, little to know, he got sacked in between. And I remember getting a phone call from our agent saying, we don't know what's going to happen. Carl Harrison just got sacked to Halifax and you signed through him. We don't know. We've got to speak to him about how we're going to go about it, if you still got a deal, etc. So then, it was all up in the air. And then I remember the actual coach, when they got Marshall in, and Rich rang us up and said, we're still keen to have you over, etc. And, when we got there, we it's hard to explain, but we didn't know the squad we had and the bond we ended up having. Like, I'll explain later, but the bond and squad we had that them 3 years that I was there just was second to none. We all wanted to win for each other, and we just played well. And I think we struggled for the first half of that season, and then the second half we went on about a 10 or 11 game run, unbeaten, where we just clicked into gear. And we were flying that year, and we ended up making the middle eights and surprised everyone because no one gives us a chance.
Well, let's talk about that 10-game run. Which was the point where you realised, yeah, this might actually be for us this year, you know?
I don't know. I remember that year we played. I think we played Sheffield at Doncaster Stadium, and we got flogged. We got pumped. Yeah. And I remember after that game, we got the sheds, and I remember Marshall give us a right bollocking, as you say. But
not you though. Not you. You were outstanding that day, Mitch.
He really got over the top aggressive. But I remember that day he was really, you know, he gave us a lot of home truths. And I remember after that day we sort of went back to training, and it sort of made everyone sort of on their toes. And yeah, after that we just sort of clicked, and we just went on a big run. And then I remember that game we played London Broncos at Keighley, and we were meant to be playing at Shea, and we just were saying all them games we kept winning, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, and teams are struggling to handle us. And yeah, we were flying. And that day at London, that was sort of the day where we sort of played that well. And they were a good side back then, them days. And we sort of said to ourselves, if we play like this every week, we'll make the 8 and the top middle 8s or whatever they're called. And yeah, we did. We played well, and we deserved to be there when no one gives us a chance.
Looking back in hindsight, it was kind of near misses, because if we played Sheffield again at Doncaster, and we only just lost it, from my memory, we kind of threw that game away. It just seemed really strange. If we'd have won that game, we could have been in £1 million game, and God knows what happened. But it was wonderful memories. I want to focus on the Bradford game though, at Odsal, where we put over 50 points on him. Did you know the rivalry between Halifax and Bradford? Was it kind of instilled to you by the likes of Bobby Fairbank and that, the fact that we've got to win this game?
Yeah, no, when we sort of arrived in England, the 2 rivalries that we got spoken about was sort of, or 3 really, was Bradford, Featherstone, and Lee Centurions, and yeah, they were the team that everyone wanted to beat, them 3. And you know, when playing Bradford, you just rise to the occasion, because obviously I support rugby league, and I know over the years Bradford were a massive club. They won plenty of league titles, Challenge Cups, and the like. So I knew it was a big occasion, and especially the history and the neighbours that Halifax are of them. So when we played them, every time we played them, I didn't need much motivation to play against any team, but Bradford of all teams. And yeah, every time we played them, I got pretty lucky. I think we only lost to them once or twice when I was there in 3 years. So I got pretty lucky. We played well every time we played. And yeah, that game at Odsal, I think it was the last game of the season. We beat them by 50, and we just knew that we wanted to go out on a high because we played well. We deserved it, and everything just stuck, and we just wanted to win more than they did, and we just blew them away, and we deserved to win by 50 because we played outstanding that day.
Can I just say, for the record, they're our neighbours, not the other way around.
Oh, well, you know what
Yeah, no, it was a special time, special day. We'll gloss over 2016. 2016 was a bit of a blip, really.
Because, you know, obviously to go from something so great in 2015, and then obviously 2016 didn't work out for us. Maybe we fell in love with ourselves. If you gloss over 2016, you get to 2017. What were your thoughts at the end of 2016 when there were talks of like having to take wage cuts just so the club could sort of survive? You might have to go back to Australia. I'm assuming sort of all the options were on the table. Was there any thought of ever leaving Fax?
Yeah, well, there's a couple actually. At the end of 2016, we flew home, and we didn't know sort of the financial difficulties the club was going through. And I remember first getting a phone call off Scott, you know, and Scott's a legend as a club himself and great mate of mine. And he phoned me and said, "Listen, mate, we've had some hard meetings with the club, the hierarchies, and they want us to take wage cuts. What are your thoughts?" And I spoke to Adam, Tyra. I remember Scott ringing me, and I didn't know how to take it. I was a bit, not angry, but taken back, thinking, you know, like, don't know what I was going to do. And I remember right before pre-season, I remember Tyra texting me and Adam and Bobby and that saying, "You're going to come back, And if I'm being honest with you now, I'll tell you right now, at one stage I wasn't coming back. I remember saying, nah, I'm going to the other side of the world. It might sound a bit selfish where I look now, it does a bit, but I'm not going back. I'm at the other side of the world, and they want to take wages off me where I'm going out there giving my heart and soul every week, which
would you have got another contract in Australia as well at that time as well?
No, I was still contracted to Halifax, but I was weighing up my options whether to stay over here because...
That's what I mean. Would you have backed yourself to get another contract, I mean?
I did have a bit of interest over there from another club, but yeah, at the time I still wanted to play for Halifax, but it's just one of them things where I remember I woke up one morning and I got a message from Tyre going, all the boys think you're not going to come back, and I remember texting him saying, "Nah, mate, I think I'm staying in Australia. I'm not going to come back. Or it's just too difficult." But then I spoke to my missus and I just sort of said, and she said, "Oh, it's not all doom and gloom." And I thought about it, and I thought I got it pretty good over there, and I owe the fans and the blokes and the team and the players, and I had a great bond, and that probably stuck out most. And I just thought, no, I'll come back and I'll give it one more crack.
That's why we love you, mate.
Oh, true, yeah, and I'll say right now, no one would have criticised you at all if you'd have said I'm staying here, because rugby career is a short one. It's your job, it's your livelihood, and I say you've got no affinity with Halifax at all. So no one. We said before on podcasts and stuff like that. No. If anyone like Dave Manning did, no one gave him any sort of rubbish at all, because we realised what you guys put in, really. So, but I'm so glad that you did, because we wouldn't have had 2017, and it's just we just kind of put it off. But 2017 was one of the best years I have ever seen watch Halifax. But we will come back to that after we have
third part.
Whistle. In the third part, yes, in the third part, talking the facts of life. Join us on the other side.
Third part.
Hello, welcome to the third and maybe final part of Talking the Facts of Life. We don't know. We don't know how many parts we're going to have. Proud to be sponsored by eclipseenergy.co.uk.
Energy!
And Delivery. We are still here with Mitch Cahalane, and he's down there somewhere. He's there somewhere. He's down under anyway. He's back down under, but we're talking about when he was up here and 2017. Now, before the break, I said that it was one of the best years of supporting Halifax. And again, like 2015, it was kind of like unexpected season. After 2016, we didn't necessarily think we were up to much, kind of thing. What was it like inside the camp? What were your like pre-season's expectation?
Yeah, I remember we were disappointed at the finish of our 2016 season, where we underachieved, in my opinion. We obviously went out there and we thought we had a squad we could make the top four again, and we fell short. We just didn't play good enough at the time. And coming into 2017, we thought, we had the squad to push for it again. And like 2015, not many people give us a chance, and we just went in there and we plugged along to start with, but we picked up and we made it hard for ourselves in the long run looking back. But we pulled out a minor miracle and we ended up getting him there, and yeah, the rest was history. But yeah, we were quietly confident in amongst the camp.
Good stuff. Let's cut to the chase, shall we? Let's go right to the end of the season. Let's go to the season, because I'm getting goosebumps thinking about the running on that season.
Who gives a hell about the previous 18 games? What does that mean?
Yeah, who gives a toss about that? It was 4 cup finals, basically, to get into the 8s. First off with Bradford. We mentioned the rivalry with Bradford. We saw them off, and then to lose. It is, in terms of the emotion and what the game meant, it is the best experience I've had watching Halifax. And I've watched Halifax for far too long.
Yeah.
I've been all over the place and that sort of stuff. What was it like, again, what was it like in camp, really? Did you go over thinking, we're going to win this, we've got to win this? What was it like?
Yeah, at the time, we played Bradford and we were struggling injury-wise. And I remember at the time, with the squad that went to Toulouse, we had an extended squad. I think we took about 20 odd players. And I remember the final captain run the day before we played, or the day of the game, or whatever it was. We weren't even sure of the 17. We undecided on 17. I remember Marshall, Rich saying, we're not sure of the 17. We're still doing fitness tests. I think Grady was under injury cloud. Scott. We had about 3 or 4 players that were injury cloud. But we were quietly confident, but we knew it was going to be a massive effort because that year they hadn't lost a game at home all year. They were undefeated at home. They weren't just beating teams. They were smashing teams over there. And, we knew it was a huge task, but I remember we sat down, we said, for us to get in the top 4, we need to win. And we just got to throw everything into it. And, what comes of it. And we threw everything in and we played our asses off. And, we ended up coming over a result, and it was a massive result. But the work wasn't finished there. It was a massive elation when we won. We went out, had a massive night, great night, one of the best nights in a long time ever. And, we celebrated a little too hard, I think. But we sort of we remember getting back the couple of days after, and we were still on a high and a bit hungover, but we still had a job to do. We still had 2 or 3 more, I think 2 games to go or something like that.
It's one of those,
I remember that.
The sense of how important it was to the fans, because obviously a home game against Bradford, there was a really good gate, and then you go over to Toulouse. I don't know your memories of the day, but mine have it been like 1,000 degrees in the morning, and obviously the stadium's quite hot at the centre. Were you surprised by how many people actually made the trek over there for that game?
Yeah, we were. Like, obviously, it's a massive credit to all the fans that pay hard-earned money to get over there, because the cost would be a fair bit, and we appreciate the support we got. And I do remember I remember waking up, and I think we played in a late afternoon game. It was 2 or 3 o'clock, and I remember waking up, and and the Aussie, me and Adam sort of knew the conditions, because obviously that's what we play in a lot of times in Australia. And so to me, it wasn't a bad thing. I sort of cherished it and thought, I enjoy it. I thrive on these conditions. And I remember through the other boys, I remember Salty said to me, "I'm not playing in this, lad. This is too bloody hot." And
spot on impression, by the way.
Yeah, and I remember saying, this will help us, and because we sort of had a good sort of fitness pack. We played bigger minutes and sort of worked in our favour. And it was. And I remember playing, and I remember I think it was late in the second half. I had a massive head clash, and I cut across my eye, and I remember going in at half time. I think it was half time actually, and I go into half time and getting stitched up, blah. And I remember we're saying we were on, and everyone was dialed in, and if we just hold our nerve, we've got this team beat, because we were all over them at the time. But we only ended up winning by a try, I think. But I think we were the only team to beat them over there that year. It was massive.
You mentioned before about the special bond that you had with the players. Now, as fans, me and Rick can tell whether the players are playing for themselves and the fans as well. And at the melting pot that night, whoever were there was no doubt at all that you guys were a band of brothers. You were all in together, and it was amazing to see, because you mentioned about like the cost to get to Toulouse. It was worth it to see that, and to show how much it meant to you. And I'll back up by what you were saying, like, because we partied hard that night. We deserved it. It was a great day. And that
we could make a documentary about the party that night.
That was legendary, the old melting pot. I'll never forget that.
But when I spoke to a few of the players, I might even spoke to yourself, I doubt you even remember, but I kind of like said, "Oh, this is great," and they go, "No, it's second cup final, there's 2 more to go, and you were all, even though you celebrate your victories, but you can tell that you'd caught the bug, and you were so committed to the cause, really. Is that the kind of the best kind of teammate experience you've been involved in? Was it kind of like a band of brothers?
Yeah, well, I'll think about it now, and you probably don't, you take a bit for granted at the time. We've never, I can wholeheartedly say now, I've never played in a team over them years that were so close, mateship wise, just in general. Like we done everything together, like, and it was just, that's what got us through. We probably won't one of the best team on paper or best talented team or best players, but when we play, we fought for each other every inch, and that's what got us over the line. Some games we'll down and out, and it takes someone special to do something, but we didn't want to let the bloke next to us down, and that's what we needed, and that's what we did. And I've never played in a team that's so tight-knit group and special as that, let me tell you.
How much of that was down to Rich, and how much of that was down to the leadership group within the team?
Oh, it was probably a bit of both. Rich instilled, them years we had, I think 2 out of the 3 roughly, or something like that, the best defensive record. We were a team where you're hard to score against, and we worked for each other, and that was both Rich and obviously Scott played a massive part. Like Scott, I don't know, but Scott to me he's very undervalued at the time when we were playing. Scott is massive for the club. You don't understand what he done for the club, the team, the town. He was massive, and he got everyone on board, and everyone bought into what we were doing. And sometimes that's just what we needed, and we didn't want to lose for each other or lose to the bloke next year, or just the little things we didn't want to lose. Miss a tackle for the bloke or not take that run, or that's just what we were like. We were really all a tight unit.
Are you happy that you left on such a high then, or would you have rather come back for another season if your missus had let you?
I remember the melting pot, the chant, one more year, one more year.
Oh, no, don't get wrong. I did get offered to stay. I must say that. I did get offered to stay, but at the time, I don't know, I thought it was the right time. If I had my way, I could have stayed for another 5 years, but I was sort of at the back end of my career. I still probably had a couple of good seasons in me, but at the time, I thought that it was time. We sort of had a good squad there. We didn't know who was staying, who was going. It was all up in the air still. And there was a few murmurs between the group that the captain might exit. And, I wasn't too sure. And I just had to speak to my missus and just said at the time that, what was best for us. And we just thought it was the right time to go back home.
How have things been going back in Australia? What are you up to these days? Give the fans sort of an update of how you getting on.
Yeah, not too bad, man. I played one more full season when I think I had 2 full more seasons. When I come back, I went back to Mounties. They give me a ring and said, "You want to play?" And it's obviously a bit different. I've done on the both ends of the scale over there. I was what you classify as a full-timer. I was playing full-time work for the club here and there, doing bits and pieces, which I wouldn't call work, but I was solely on that. I was probably the fittest I've ever been. I trained and recovery-wise, so it was probably the best 3 years I've ever had in my career. But when I come back, I still had a good 2 more seasons. I played reserve grade for Mounties, and I played with a lot of full-time players that were at Canberra Raiders at the time. I had 2 more seasons, and then this year I was going to be my last year, and then COVID cancelled the season, so I only ended up playing 1 game. I had a few niggling injuries, like I had a bad injury last year with my ankle, and I decided that'll be it, and I'm happily retired now, mate. So I do miss it, but I don't miss waking up sore every Monday.
We mentioned Richard Marshall before. No doubt you've heard the news that he's got the Salford Red Devils job, head coach in Super League. What was it like to play under, and do you think he'll be a success at Salford? Yeah,
Rich was good. He was very I don't know what's the word, very pedantic at things, very nitpick at things. He would pick up things you wouldn't imagine he'd pick up. Like he'd go over the preview, the review of the games with a fine-tooth comb, and he'd pick up things you just go, what? I didn't even know that happens, and he's very thorough. Like, he was a good coach. He was good like that. He's very coachable. And I will say he did improve players. He was very good at man-managing, improving players. Like, he'd get the most out of a player that you wouldn't think had improvement in him, but he'd get the most out of a player, that's always a good sign of a coach.
And I'll just say, obviously, the new Panthers coach, Simon Grix, was a teammate of yours during your time at FAT. Did you have the inkling during your time as a teammate that he would become a coach? And how do you think he'll get on being the coach of the new Panthers franchise?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to play Grix for a couple of years there. I think it was 2 years there. But, yeah, great player, probably even great coach. Obviously, I didn't get the chance to get coached by him, but as a player, he was a great great player and a great bloke, like great team man, and he was very, very football smart, so to speak. He was very in depth with what he'd done. It was always in the pipeline. I thought when he was playing that he was eventually going to go into the coaching role, whether it was going to be assistant or, you know, if a job ever come of it. But he was very, very football smart. He knew the game inside out, and he's very good technical wise. And he brought something different when he was even playing to help Rich out and that at the time. You know, so I dare say he'll have a good career as a coach as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I think that's everything, isn't it, Rick? I
can't
think
not at all.
We could literally talk all day and all night, and that's just about to lose.
I've got a couple of questions from fans that I've been asked to pass on. So my first one is, how does the tag of cult hero sit with you? Obviously, you know, you came and had 3 great years, and you're fondly remembered by the fans. How does it feel to be a cult hero?
You know me, mate. As the boys that I play with, I'm a pretty modest sort of bloke. I just try to take it in my stride. I don't boast or pump my chest at people that, you know. I'm a modest person. I just did what I knew what I could do, and did the best for the team, and, you know, give them 100% every week. And that's the way I was, and I always will be. I'm not a type of person that would boast about how good I thought I was, or how good I could have been, or I just went out and did the best I can, you know. And I've still got a few things. I've got in my house at the moment. I've got my last jersey, 2017 jersey, framed with all a picture of the team at the time with my banner. I've got my banner down in the garage hanging up that Jamie gifted me. Yeah, I've still got plenty of memories. Don't worry about that. I'll still hold it close to my heart, mate. The club was great to me.
Fantastic. Speaking of memories, I was asked to ask you, as a mainline prop forward during your time in the Championship, were there any battles that you had with other forwards, front rowers that stand out to you? Any sort of concurrent battles that you've had that you enjoyed? Or you just bested everyone and that's why we did so well?
No, I had a fair few battles, mate, over the time. I don't know whether I always put it down to being an Aussie, where every time I played against whoever I played, they were always out to try and give me stick and try to rattle me off my game, which doesn't bother me. You can say what you like to me or give it to me as much as you wanted to. It probably spurred me on or even made me play better. It didn't really worry me. We had a couple of run-ins early on with Sam Barlow. What them reasons were, I don't know. Maybe because I played for Halifax and he left at the time. He didn't like me for some reason. I didn't bother me.
You're not the only one who's had that, Mitch. Don't worry.
We had a couple of battles with Philly because Halifax put me on a few posters with him, and Lee didn't like me much either. I remember playing Lee a few times, and every second play was given to me from Lee. Words I can't repeat on camera, but yeah, I got it from everybody. It didn't bother me. It took it in my stride.
Well, I can't remember this I can't remember this prop forward, Mitch Cahalane. I remember the silky skilled wide running second row, Mitch Cahalane, who ended his career with Halifax. How did that come about, and how did you feel about that change of position?
Yeah, I loved it. I remember training. I think we had a couple of back rows down. I can't remember who was injured. I think
you were Grady that were injured. I seem to remember.
Yeah, Grady or someone was injured, and we didn't have nobody else. And I remember Scott coming to me, and he was the first, and, you know, coach mine, and Scott saying, can you play back row? And as a junior, I did play a bit of back row coming up through the 18s, 19s. I played a bit of back row. Sort of, I personally think I got the skill. I just didn't have the speed. I remember he saying, can you play? And I said, I can pass, catch, no worries, and give me a chance. And then I remember Rich said we were going to play. I think my first game was Featherston after the Toulouse game, and he played me back row. And I remember before the game, I remember saying, Rich said you're going to play back row, and I remember Sharpie speaking to the coach, Featherston coach at the time, and I remember Sharpie going,
I don't want him passing bloody ball to me.
Yeah, I never forget. I remember Will Sharp come to me and goes, I went and spoke, I forget their coach was John Sharp at the time, and I remember going, I spoke to Sharpie, and he said, they're going to come at you, they're laughing at you playing back row, don't let them get to you. I said, mate, that doesn't worry me. I took it in my stride, and yeah, we ended up beating them. I set up a try, I scored a try that day, and yeah, and I ended up staying in the back row. We formed a good partnership with Ed was playing there and in the centres, and Heaton was on the wing. And I mean, we went on a good run and we scored plenty of tries down that side in the last probably 4 or 5 games of the season that year. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the biggest right edge in rugby league.
Yeah, it was. And that's what Scott used to call us. I think it was Scott, me, Ed. We used to call us the fat side. So we went it good, yeah.
Plenty of skills, but no speed there for sure.
Yeah, right.
I've got one final question then before we decide to wrap things up. Obviously, you've mentioned you recently retired as a professional rugby league player. What advice would you give to the younger generation coming up in both this country and in Australia about how to make it as a pro rugby player?
It's probably a cliche. Just work hard and don't let anyone say you can't do things, or don't let anyone deter you. Just keep working hard. It's, you know, you've got to really hone your skills and do the extras and bits and pieces, and you've got to be willing to work hard and fight for everything and not just think you're going to be handed it and not rest on your laurels, so to speak. Just keep training hard and playing hard, and you know, if you really want it and achieve it, you'll get there, and not take it for granted. When you're there, you do have a short career. You've got to really enjoy and embrace the moments when they're there, because they soon pass you by.
Absolutely. 2 words to describe Matt Place.
I don't know. What do I want to say? I'll
leave it there. Thanks very much for coming, Mitch.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I think that's wise. We put it there.
That was a lead to you.
Let's place that somewhere else, shall we? But no, thank you very much for coming on, Mitch. I know you're only with us for 3 years, but my God, you fitted so much into that 3 years, and I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for the memories you provided.
Thank you, mate. You wore the shirt with pride, pal.
Definitely, and you're very much welcome back. And there might be a pint in it for you. So I might even reach down. I might reach down into my shorts pockets and get you, get me willing to buy you a pint there. But no, thank you very much for your time at Halifax. Thank you very much for getting up so early this morning to come on the podcast. And thank you everyone.
Thanks for everyone for watching.
Yes, thank you very much, Rick. Thank you as always. And for myself, see you later. And up the Panthers!
Up the Panthers!
Up the Panthers!
Yes!